All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Woo! This is the Duval County Rams fan, and we are going to talk about our preseason finale that happened last night. Woo! It was a long night for me, let me tell you. But the Rams went ahead and went and hung out in Mile High Stadium in Denver and played the Broncos. Ultimately, they did lose by a score of 17-12, but it was an interesting game. I saw, it was a mixed bag for me. I saw some good things. I saw some bad things. I saw some things that we need to work on and uh, a few things here or there, couple of interesting things that stood out for guys who played and guys who did not play, which we will get into here in a second. But it was interesting. The Broncos went ahead and they went ahead and marched out their starters. The Broncos played their starters on offense and defense for pretty much the majority of the first half. I don't want to say the whole of the first half, but almost all of it. And I just in we basically were playing with our backups and third stringers. And when you look at it from that context, when you look at from that lens, because they had Von Miller playing, they had Nick Chubb playing on defense, they had their starter Teddy Bridgewater on offense. They played for a good amount of snaps, a good number of drives, and I gotta tell you, I was proud of our backups. Before we really get into details, I just wanted to say really quickly that I am pretty proud of how our backups played, considering that was the starters for the Denver Broncos. That's the team they're gonna march out in the regular season this September to do battle with their AFC West foes and the NFL and stuff like that. And I thought when you look at it from that lens, I thought we did okay. I thought the our backups did okay, and I thought they played well against them. So uh, let's go ahead and get into it. So I was proud of him. Bryce, like the picture of Bryce here. I thought he did I thought he did okay. He it's hard to tell. Like I said, he was playing with backup O linemen, backup receivers. He kind of underwhelmed though. But again, it was the Broncos starting defense for like most of the first half, and then they kind of in the second half they kind of started putting in depth players. But let's get into it. So Bryce Perkins flashed as much potential as ever, but a lack of red zone success could be enough to get him through waivers and onto the practice squad. And that, like I was just saying, he underwhelmed a little bit. Still hard to say if that was contributed to the depth pieces or because he did his throws. There was one ugly throw he made like in the first half that I was just like, wow, that it was had no power to it. He threw it to the sidelines and it like flopped right in front of the receiver. It was rough, not trying to rag on you, Bryce, but that was a pretty terrible throw. But it's hard to say. Sean, it's tough. It's tough. Sean has got a tough decision here. It's whether they keep three quarterbacks or move them, risk losing him. I'm still of the mindset that if you put him on the practice squad, that he's gone. I do, despite the kind of underwhelming performance last night, I do think someone will pick him up. But do you keep three quarterbacks? That's a tough decision. I feel like I would personally, just me as a fan. I'm not as I've said before, I'm not a coach. I'm not an analyst. I don't, I don't do this 24/7. I'm just a die-hard fan that loves his team and digest as much information on the team as much as I can. And from where I'm coming from, you've already spent so much time with him. You've had him on the team. I think 2 years. Or over a year and a half. Kevin O'Connell's worked with him a lot. Sean's worked with him a lot. You've been developing him. And he has shown some progress. He may not be starter material. He may not be backup material, but he has shown some form of progression. Okay? And I just feel like, if it were me, why would another team enjoy the fruits of your hard work, Sean and Kevin? Pretty much, you put in a lot of hard work to get this project. Bryce, I'm just saying he's a project QB, and you've seen some good things out of him. He's not there yet, but you've seen some good things, and I just feel like it would be a waste of time if you put him on the practice squad and someone scooped him up. But that's just how the NFL goes. Um, it's a tough decision to be sure. I won't judge them either way. I won't be mad either way if they put him on the practice squad or if he makes the 53. Because it is a tough decision, but I personally would keep him. Just because the quarterback position is the most important position on the field. Um, the league is starving for quarterbacks, and I just feel it's so hard to find one that if you find one that that flashes a little bit of progression, a little bit of skills, and you've already put a considerable amount of time into him, I would probably try to keep him, but we'll see what happens. I will not judge them either way. Moving on. Now, nobody could blame the Rams if they chose Corey Borquez over Johnny Hecker. This Corey Borquez is obviously the punter that played last night, and he's been battling Johnny Hecker for that starting spot. And I gotta tell you, I think Corey won the job last night. He, unfortunately, because I actually really like Johnny Hecker, but Corey came from Buffalo last year, and he looked really good, man. Special teams I thought played really good last night. From the punter's perspective, he like blasted it 60+ yards on multiple times. He even pinned the Broncos deep, like on the 1 yard line. I think like at the very end of the first half, and that was pretty incredible. So I think, and he's cheaper than Johnny. So if he's cheaper and he's making the same and he has the same kind of power, the same kind of accuracy, I think they go with him. And it'll suck to see Johnny Hecker go because he seems like a cool dude, like a normal person, but it is what it is, my man. It is what it is. So Corey, excuse me, good lord, Corey's just Corey's a little cheaper. So moving on. Jake Funk has proven to be a protected player, which is rare for a 7th-round rookie. Yeah, this was telling. They pretty much marched Xavier Jones out there, and Jake Funk pretty much sat out. And I did not, I did not under my knowledge, I don't think he had some sort of injury. So what this tells me is that Sean is probably gonna integrate him into the 53 man roster, and he plans on using him, which is very exciting news, and which is what I wanted to see because I think he's gonna do well for us. So while he didn't play last night, it's kind of a good sign that he's going to make the team and that he's probably going to be a contributor, not a key contributor, but a contributor, bit of a rotational player, you know. So Micah Kaiser played a lot, which does not seem like a good sign for his chances of making the 53 man roster. Yeah, it's uh yeah, I'm not sure about Micah, man, and that's a shame because I kind of liked him, but all signs are pointing to him getting cut. Um, the very first the part of the game where the starting Broncos offense went out there, I thought our pass defense looked good, but the run defense looks so terrible, dude. I mean, oh my god. Again, I can see it. I can see it because our depth defensive backs are legit. I think we have a really good room of defensive backs and players that can play the pass, like safeties and cornerbacks that can play the pass. We're really good against the pass. It looked like because Teddy up until that one drive towards the end of the first half where he marched down the field, scored a touchdown. Before that, he had like two or three drives where we had him on lockdown. Like he could not do anything. Like he was like we were blanketing his guys. He couldn't complete a pass. It was really good. It was a good showing from our pass defense, but our run defense, man, it's just damn, man. And if Micah isn't contributing, then he needs to go. So unfortunately, the Rams seem to want to carry more defensive linemen and defensive backs than we expected. Yeah, I think so too. Um, yeah, a lot of key depth defensive linemen played well, and defensive backs. So I see us keeping a lot more. I would like us to see it. I just don't know how it's going to work out because you can only keep 53. But my whole thing is this: the O line, the depth on the O line is terrible. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. If any of you are listening to this, any of the backup O linemen, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but y'all look terrible. So if you're gonna cut somebody, and I know depth is important, but if you're gonna cut somebody and you're kind of on the and you're kind of discussing who is the last couple players you want to cut, you have some depth on the defensive line that is playing well, and you have depth on the offensive line who is not playing well. And my whole thing is if you are trying to trim down one spot here or there, why not cut the backup O lineman? Why not keep some of the depth, a couple of depth backup defensive linemen that seem to play pretty well? You know, like Hoyt got a strip sack. You know, maybe in last night's game, you know, Chris Garrett's looking amazing. Um, you got oh god, I'm gonna get the name wrong, but Jonah Williams I was looking pretty good. Eric Banks is looking pretty good. You know, keep those guys on the team. All right, you got to look who is producing for you and who is not. Okay, don't cut a skilled backup defensive lineman because you need to make room for depth on the O line when the depth on the O line is below average, and that's putting it nicely. Okay? You guys neglected the O line position for years, okay? This is what happened. So now we're in this position. But if you have if you have talent on the defensive line. Keep the talented players is what I'm getting at. Okay, I know you need some sort of depth for the O line, but I don't want to see a talented defensive lineman lead the team and we keep like a subpar offensive lineman. Like I was not happy at all with Bobby Evans. I really wasn't. There was a play where Bryce Perkins, I think, gets sacked. I forget when it was. It was like in the second quarter or something. And like Bryce is scrambling, trying to do what he can to make the most out of the play, which I do really appreciate. Bryce, thank you. And I saw Bobby Evans just like standing there. Just standing there. Just standing there. And I cannot stand that. I cannot stand that type of laziness out of the line during the play. The play only lasts a few seconds, man. Go help. Go hit somebody. Like, honestly. Now, I'm not a professional coach. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm just a fan, okay? I'm just a fan. And I may not be the most knowledgeable on, like, the inner workings of the position. But when I'm looking at my screen and I see my quarterback scrambling to get any yard he can because he's getting bombarded by the Denver D line, and one of my O linemen's kind of to the side just standing there, I get a little upset. Okay. Now, but so if you need to cut some backup alignment, I would do that. It's tough. It's gonna be tough, but this writer's observation of keeping more defensive linemen and defensive backs for depth pieces seems correct. I feel like the Rams will do that for sure. Because we got some talent on the D line. Absolutely. Most of the offense, including the offensive line, seems set, but there could be a number of surprises on defense because competition may come down to the final quarter. Yep. Will Bryce Perkins make the roster? We were just kind of talking about that. He's the third stringer. He kind of underwhelmed last night. But I would like to see him make the team because he showed the progression. You already put in a lot of time and effort into him, and I do think while he's not good enough to start or be a backup, I think he's shown enough to where a team would take them. And I could see a team taking him just to spite us, I could see a team like San Francisco or Seattle, a team in our division going, ooh, let's take him just so the Rams don't have him. Just so the Rams don't have him. Okay? I can see that. Like, I can feel that in my bones. So I would just I would just keep him. That's just me, though. Let's see. And yeah, and the fact that wins are everything, and we went 0-3 in the preseason. So, I understand Bryce showed some flashes, but you got to win the game too. He's got a lot to work on, guys. He's got to work on his progressions, his reads, his throws. God, that one throw I'm thinking about looks so awful. I just feel like it's got a lot to work on, but I still think we should keep him. This guy thinks there could be a trade. So he's thinking about trading Wolf. No, no, no. We're not trading John Wolford. No, 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 no. Will Johnny B. Hecker be the one who's traded? I could see that. I could see that. You might as well if you already make the decision to have Corey as the starter, and I think they have. Just my opinion. I just think they have. I think he played really well last night. Um, and if they do decide to do that, why not get some draft capital back for Johnny? Maybe replenish some of the picks you spent on getting Sony Michelle. That would if you're able to do that, I'd be pleased. So we'll see. I think someone will probably get Johnny, probably Dallas, because that's where that's where Coach Bones is at. So, and they had a previous relationship. So, is Jake Funk a key part of the 2021 Rams offense? I say yes. I've been saying this for a while. Um, I just like what I've heard about how his past coaches have talked about him. I have liked how he looked. I think he's going to be good for us. I really do. I think he's just a good, solid football player. Where does Micah Kaiser stand with the Rams? I think he probably gets cut. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, because Chris Garrett needs to make the team. I thought Chris Garrett played well. Played well. There was some talk of Micah Kaiser missing tackles in 2020. Yeah, I remember there was the game against San Francisco. I forget who it was. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't even think it was the running back. I think it might have been Emmanuel Sanders just completely stiff armed them. Micah Kaiser just embarrassed him. Like I remember the replay too because he like Micah was coming in on the tackle and the guy like stiff arms him right to the ground. I remember that. It was one of the San Francisco games last year. I think it was in San Fran. But it was rough. It was rough to watch. Going heavier at D line and defensive back. We were just talking about that. Strip sack. NFL Network here. Don't know if they will allow me to play this, so I'm not going to. Just know that this was a pretty sweet sack by Hoyt. He pretty much he comes around. Drew here is about to throw it. He puts one arm out, strip sacks him, and falls on it. It was pretty. Oh, Michael Hodge. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, man. But yeah, it was pretty sweet. Hmm. Okay, so Xavier Jones looked good enough to make the team. He's making the team, I think. Yeah, he looked decent. That was the starting Denver defense out there. Some plays looked weak, some plays looked decent. Again, it was the backup O lineman and they're subpar. So there was less of a standout performance by any of the receivers this week. Yep, didn't. It was the offense was underwhelming. We had some drives where we lose, but no touchdowns. Um, yeah, it was like I said, it was a mixed bag. Tutu got 12 targets, and we're just waiting until he breaks off for a long gain. Jacob Harris was targeted 3 times but didn't get a catch. Matt Gay got some good work, and he made all the kicks. I'm very pleased. I was pretty salty when he missed one of those kicks in the first preseason game, but he seems to be in his groove right now. So Matt Gay, good job, and keep it up. Keep it up, man, for sure. Because we'll need you for sure. Ernest Jones entered the game in the second quarter, and the third round pick seems to be buried on the depth chart right now. Not necessarily because he's been disappointing. That's just how confident McVay appears with Kenny Young and Reader in an experienced group at that position. Man, you know, yeah, just I don't know, man. It doesn't surprise me that they're going with the veterans to start out the season, but I still think that Ernest is uh Ernest is gonna rise up the depth chart here sooner than later. Bobby Evans might be in that group of surprise cuts, yeah, because I can't stand watching players just stand around during a play. That's lazy. I cannot stand laziness. So just if it comes down to who we got to cut to keep this certain player, he might get cut for sure. Roseboom had a nice interception. That was pretty sweet. I don't know if he'll make the team though. Let's see, why don't they just make the preseason a league of itself? Most made up of practice squad players, expand out to 30 player teams that play 8 games each per year. There it is, the NFL's minor league. That's an interesting idea. Starting maps followed by default things. Huh. Interesting. I don't know though. But ultimately, the preseason is over. We got our season opener coming up soon. I am very excited. So it is interesting to see what the Rams will decide to do with their 53. There's a lot to think about, and I'm interested to see what happens. So that's gonna be it for now, guys. I will see you guys on the next one. And as always, preseason is over, y'all. Regular season's almost here. It's about to get real. Okay? It's about to get real. Right? And as always, go Rams.